that the J1 visa is the only one endorsed by most of the institutions in the United States. So let's spend most of our time in the ECFMG certification. International medical graduates, which call them IMGs, who receive their basic medical education outside the United States and Canada. It's the only country in the world where they don't call them IMGs, because they follow literally the same system, and half of their professors are actually American. So they are a critical part of United States healthcare. And look at the one here. 1/4 of physicians practicing in America is like Dr. Aburahma's. That's a big number. 1/4, 25%. The medical school outside the United States in Canada vary in education standard, which I'm sure you know that, curriculum and evaluation methods. Many kids, they come to Jordan from various, Eastern Europe. And even Jordan, which is a small country, they don't approve them because they don't accept their curriculum. So the ECFMG is doing the job for all of us. This is what they are doing. And it's a very rigorous process. It has similar exam like the medical graduate of United States who take their exam. Not only they will accept what you tell them. When you apply and once you want to take this exam, they have to authenticate your medical school. And you tell them, I graduated from Alexandria Medical School. They look to their director, yes, this medical school is accepted by us. But you also need to remember, your graduation year is important, because there are some medical schools in some countries, they just started accepting them 4 or 5 years ago. So the doctor came from whatever X country, I don't want to insult any country, and it was 15 years ago. It might not be approved then. They will not accept them to take the exam. ECFMG certified, I didn't even know that. 10,000 international graduates each year. That's a big number. Of course, keep in mind, look at for how many. From 1,100 medical schools, from over 130 countries. Medical school requirement, applicant must meet requirement established by, I don't think you need to worry about this, because I promise you, your medical school is very well known and accepted. So in your case, I'm not sure I need to worry about this part. So you're okay. Application for ECFMG certification. It consists of 2 parts, and I bet you some of you took this exam. I know I'm trying to look to my buddy who took me to the hotel yesterday. He is at the end. You're far away, my friend. So you took USL in part 1. There might be, hopefully I'm not saying a secret about you. And he's ready to take part 2. So if you have not applied, it has 2 parts to apply to this exam. Online application and the certification of identification form, which calls Form 186. And that's just simply echo what I just said. Examination, applicant must pass what you call UCMLE, United States Medical License Exam 1 and 2, and I took 3 only after I finished my 4th year residency, because I like to have 1 year under your experience, which is really good for you also. It's more of a clinical sense, and it's the easiest part of all. If you pass 1 and 2, unless you are really mentally retarded or drunk, you will pass part 3. I promise you. So just part 1 and 2. In my mind, I think part 1 is the most complicated, because you're finishing 4 or 5 years ago, and it's basic anatomy and physiology and pharmacology that most of us can't. For me, I'm not insulting any pharmacology professor here. You just don't remember this after 4 or 5 years. So part 1 is the most difficult part. A clinical skill requirement and communication skill requirement. Applicant must complete pathway which include attaining satisfactory score, and I promise you, I don't mean satisfactory score. And I don't mean to depress, because I was told this side is the one who probably learned the most. Don't listen to satisfactory score, because as international graduate, unless you had really better score than most of the American, your chances are not really as good. So please don't think I'm trying to put you down. I'm trying to tell you have to work hard on it. In other words, you have in my judgment, I have, for example, I was telling your colleague yesterday, I had 120 applicants for a residence and a fellow, one each. I cannot interview 120. So the committee with me decided we probably sent 30 interviews. 8 of them were IMGs, but their score was the highest you could imagine. 260s, 270s. There are some kids who were in the 240, 45, but I could tell great recommendation letter that they have something else to make it up. So don't just think I'll make 200 and I'm going to apply. You might go ahead and just try it again. I'm just trying to encourage you so you'll not feel very, it's unfortunate we have to prove to people anywhere. You have questions, sir? I'm sorry. Okay. So passing, except the language, just simply passing your English language is fine. But the actual medical exam, part 1 and 2, you have to do your best to get the best scores. And most of the kids really who come to America are generally in their top 10, 15, 20% of their classes. Related program with the ESFMG, not only they will help you to take your exam 1 and 2, but they also hook you up with the ERS, the Electronic Residency Application service offered by the same. They will help you in hooking to it because that's all the data about you. Not only your score, recommendation letter from the dean, from the teacher, from anybody or any experience is always connected to the ERS. Exchange Visitor Sponsor Program, the IMG, the Dutch medical graduate also get help from the ESFMG to sponsor your visa also. And the ESFMG is authorized by the Department of State to sponsor foreign national physician for the J1 visa. Some stuff I found from the AMA. Residency program requirement for the IMGs. After we get certification, physician who wishes to practice medicine in USA probably must complete accredited residency training if you want to practice in the United States. You cannot just come with part 1 and 2 and come to America and say I want to practice medicine. You have to have completed the residency. But I'm going to give an exception. If you want to do general practice in rural West Virginia and some maybe Nebraska, Dakotas, north or south, perhaps or even Montana, if you take part 1 and 2 and the language, you might be able to practice general practice in some little hospitals or some clinic and so forth. But that's not the usual. But 99%, if you want to be in a hospital, you have to have approved residency in the United States. And this process will take at least 3 years. Why? The shortest duration of any residency in America is 3 years, which is family practice or pediatrics or psychiatry or psychology and so forth. So these are probably 3 years. The rest of it is 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. It depends on the specialty. IMG who receive visa are eligible to apply for residency program in the United States. If you don't have a visa, the ECFMG will sponsor you, and if you come to America, you already have a visa, so you apply for your residency. And strongly encourage any international medical graduate of today to participate in observational rotation. And quite many of you come and apply to my place and other places, and they say, I worked in Mayo Clinic for 2 months with Dr. X, or Cleveland Clinic, or Case Western, or NYU. It's always helpful. Number one, they get to know you, so they write a good letter of recommendation, and they really emphasize very much on the name they know. They might know Professor White, for example, if you apply to Chicago, if they go to his old records, and so on. But it's always good if you have a recommendation letter from people in the United States. So it's nice to have observation. So think of it, maybe I'll go to America after I get a visa and spend 2 months here 2 months here, 3 months here, to get some recommendation letter from this guy, and you get to know how American medicine is practiced. What type of residency program we have? In case if they offer you something, you might be offered something called transition position, transitional year. This really is more or less, you are beginning a job in a hospital where you work 2-3 months in the emergency room, 2-3 months with Dr. X in medicine, 2-3 months in even another hospital. Casually, some weaker program, except this year, if it's filled and done in America, as 1 year of internship. They call it transitional. Or to might apply into residency, the real residency you want to in this program or this city or this university, and then you'll be giving other preliminary program or categorical program. A preliminary program, that means you are there for 1 year, sometimes 2 years, because you are applying for residency which need 1 or 2 year preliminary training. For example, vascular surgery. We have 2 years of general surgery, but usually we get them and we fix them with the 2 years of general surgery. We tell the general surgery director, X and Y need to be spending 2 years with you in the following topics before they come to us for year number 3 and 4 and 5. In neurosurgery, plastic surgery, orthopedic surgery, urology, all of them need 1 year of general surgery. Medicine, maybe 1 year in general medicine before you go in neurology and so forth. So that's what means preliminary program. So if you're giving preliminary program, you are not guaranteed 3, 4, 5 years in that program, unless the same program giving you preliminary with the understanding we're going to join them next year to become what we call categorical residents. That's the one you need if you want any type of specialty. That's more traditional and hospital-based, and there are at least 3, but the majority like general surgery, 5 years, vascular surgery, 5 years, cardiology, 3 years of medicine, 3 years of cardiology. So it depends what type of you are looking. In neurosurgery, 7 years, 1 year general surgery, 6 years in neurosurgery. So it depends, but that's called categorical programs. Obtaining a medical and surgical residency, I think what I reviewed for you, which I knew that for the last 30, 40 years. For international graduate to have a good chance, apply as much as you can. I've seen kids come to me, they apply for 50 programs. But unfortunately, you cannot do that. Why? It's too expensive. Because when you put your ERAS, you get charged for every program you apply. For example, if you want to apply for vascular residency with Dr. Aburahma's place, I'm giving an example. I don't know what the latest dollars. Maybe this is $50. Not for me, for the ERAS, for that agency. Then you want to apply to the University of Pittsburgh, NYU, Arizona, whatever. For each program, they multiply it by the amount of dollar, and that's what you are paying to get your ERAS application accepted. What does this mean? Do I apply for only 1 or 2 or 3? It's not a good idea. So the more you apply, the better chances for you have. But I also don't agree with the kids. I saw a year ago, he applied for 56 programs. Again, he was international, I don't know where, from Syria or Jordan, I don't recall. He's just worried about he might not get accepted in any of these programs. But they recommend the ECFMG to apply for at least 25 programs. And of course, once you apply with the ERAS, then you must keep a track of what you call the National Match Program for the residency. Because this where once you get interviewed from all these places, they're going to give you interview. But your chances of being interviewed and accepted is probably no more than, forgive me, 20%. Now, I always tell the American graduate, they have probably 90% they will get matched in the program. For international graduate, nowadays, don't worry about 50 years old, it's probably around 20 to 25%. If you want really decent program. But there are some programs are dying to have anybody. What I'm trying to tell you is, generally speaking, if you get to apply for 25, take as much interview as they give you, because it doesn't mean you're going to get the job. But don't give up, because I'm sure you will get something. And if you're not sure you're going to get your first choice, in, let us say, vascular surgery. Some people apply for general surgery, because you still could go into vascular surgery by what? Finish general surgery, which is very, very highly demanded in America. There is a lot of shortage of general surgery nowadays. Okay? So what you do then, you apply for general surgery, and then you still could do vascular by doing 2 years of vascular fellowship. And it's much easier. Incidentally, 40-50% of the foreign medical graduate who will do vascular in by doing fellowship, because it was an easier pathway, except you're not doing 5 years, you're doing 7 years. Some tips of application. Present the application neatly and free of grammar and spelling errors. If your English is not the best, let one of your professors help you, to make sure when they look to that, they will not think this guy cannot even hardly make good English. So how are they going to give you a position to communicate with West Virginia or other Americans? All applications should be original. Do not copy what someone gave you. And let me give you a recommendation, which I left Alexandria 15 years ago, having all my resume, all the recommendation of Professor Akkari's and the dean and so on. That's not acceptable. Don't ever show it to anybody, because they don't think it was fair, because they think some of it might be fabricated. The letter must come from Professor Wayne straight to whatever the ERA says. Do not take it, and I've seen some of you coming and giving me their file. Don't give me your file. It happened, I know the Egyptian way, so understand, because I did it 50 years ago. Do not have anything copied. Let your professor send the letter to whatever that source says. If there is anything unique about your applications, you think not only you're very smart, you're number one in the class, but you did this and this. If you think there's something make you different than Ali Aburahma's, have an extra personal statement, because the program director really pay attention. And you know why I'm telling you this? Because many kids fabricate stuff because they carry it in the United States. I don't know about Egypt. There are formula where you could copy it and go and print the same copy in this book. They sell you for money. You have to rephrase it and put it to really your personal reflection. Don't copy that, okay? Because when you come and see them, they will ask you a question. You say, well, I met Dr. Aburahma so-and-so, and it's so-and-so. And in that, they realize, where did you meet Dr. Aburahma? Oh, I met him in Sudan. Guess what? I never been to Sudan. I'm just giving an example to know whether you are telling the truth or not. So make sure whatever you put there is real and to reflect on you personally. You care. You have a lot of hobbies. I don't mean hobbies to go to the movies in Ramle, the station. Yes, whatever you call it. My point to you is, no, it's something really unique. They love hobbies, I'm telling you. They think you are multi-talented. So that's extremely important for you. Or hard work. You volunteer and take care of poor people. You went to, for example, to Yemen. I'm not joking, I'm serious. And you took care of soldiers or whatever. They think you are really caring for that, in that regard. And I think we just touched this. Gain experience in the United States with anybody. 6 months, year, whether research, whether clinical, or whether just simply observation with someone, that's a great idea. I think we covered that ERAS applications. And of course, when you register for the ERAS, there's something called My ERAS application. And incidentally, don't forget, and that's I tell all foreign graduates, add supplemental, also apply supplemental ERAS application. What that supplemental is, which we call SOAP. Why? In case if you don't match in the 10, 15, 20 that you apply to, there are some programs don't get matched, don't get filled. Fortunately, for over 25, 30 years since start my fellowship, I never got matched. I always get my first, second, third, fourth maximum out of my 30, which I put at the end. I put them Dr. X, first choice, second, third. We'll put them in order. This is me. You put in order also. I want one, this, 2, 3, 4, and then we match. Depends on your desire and my desire, whether I want to or you want me, and so forth. There's something called SOAP applications. There are almost 15% of the position in America don't get filled. Some of them because of arrogance, they don't want anybody who doesn't look like them. I'm giving you an example. But they want people coming from Harvard or Johns Hopkins. So they interview 10, 15, and none of them put that program in their top 10, 15. So they have zero applicant. Or vice versa, program which are not very good, and nobody wants to go to this program. So there's something called SOAP, where you will know that exactly on Monday of the week, usually in the mid-March, the following program did not fail. But it might not be vascular surgery. I've seen people go in orthopedics or plastic surgery or whatever. So you look to the program which did not fail, and you already applied for SOAP application, and you told them my first choice is orthopedic in West Virginia, or plastic in University of Virginia, or. And that SOAP give you great chance of getting the position, but it might not be your first choice. And we discuss about fees and the SOAP. Now, if you did not get a match the first year when you apply, and you go and apply next year, it's not complicated anymore, because you go back to the Iraq and they have something where you could import all the stuff you put, which is very demanding. But you will import the data and it come back to you, you retrieve it, and you just modify whatever you want to modify. And we just talked about the matching service. Thank you very much.
دكتور علي متشكرين. دلوقتي معلش انا بس عايز اقول للدكاتره الصغيرين بتوعنا لو سمحتوا، لو حد ما فهمش حاجه لا يحرج تماما من السؤال. لو في اي سؤال في دماغك او اي استعلام او اي استفسار، دي فرصه كويسه، ما حدش يتكسف. ان شاء الله يكون السؤال شكله ايه. هو الدكتور علي هنا عشان يوضح لكم البروسيس يعني كامل. انا شخصيا عندي اسئله بس انا مش بفكر، يعني الوقت فات، حابب يسأل يعني براحتكم.
Step one is to go past
Are you residents or students or
student.
Users and students, 60.
Yes, sir.
Step one is not pass and fail. So, as from my understanding, before, like the cutoff for residency programs used to use step one score. So right now,
This just happened. Just happened this year.
This year, January 20.
Which is good for you. Yes.
Good for IMG.
Yes, for all of you, because it was the most challenging to score, and there were a lot of legal issues. So they just passed, just recently, that you could start get pass or fail for step one, not step two.
But then, how do you do the cutoffs? Because from my understanding, before the
There's
cutoffs,
no score. If you pass, that's fine. Then I go into step number 2. Yes.
but then does that put more like pressure on your research experiences and stuff like that, or no?
Okay, let me remind you. If you have research, it always helps you. Actually, some programs, even they don't look to your application without research. But I also have seen kids have 20, 30 papers. They spend a year and two, particularly whether in UK or, but with a marginal score or recommendation letter, this guy, great writer, but he doesn't have common sense. So it's nice if you have few research papers, but don't lose your time just putting research. No. In the beginning, no. I think few research paper is extremely acceptable. And many of the IMG, they don't have research till they get out of, for example, Egypt or Jordan. So if it comes to score, then it's score. Level 2 become extremely important. Yes, but most of the applicants this year for me, they have a score actually of both part 1 and part 2. Yes.
Okay.
Now,
So
yes.
one more question.
Yeah.
So, like your program is a categorical program, right?
Yes.
It's like statistically, it's very hard for IMGs to match into a categorical surgical program. So, like, if you are interested in a program like that, and you list it in the programs you apply to, and you also apply like as a plan B to internal medicine programs, are you as a program director, can you see that through the application, and does that factor in?
Generally, I don't know what you put in your test. I don't. I only have access to the residency for vascular surgery, but not, suppose you will go into medicine. Unless you volunteer, I cannot ask you that question. So that should not bother you. And don't feel insulted, don't feel shy by applying to another program with different specialty, because that's give you a better chance to get another specialty. If you think that don't go specialty because you want to find something, you make sure you like it at least, you know what I mean? However, quite many times we know about candidates like you who say my girlfriend or my wife is applying for medicine in your place. And if we like the candidate, we'll call the program director of medicine, tell them, you have to take this goal because this kid is top choice for us. So we know by them, you know what I mean, don't you? And sometimes some kids come and say, I apply for, because they know, I would know who apply for general surgery. I just want you to know I apply for vascular, but I know it's very difficult. And I also apply for general surgery. And thank you for telling me now, and I hope you get either one of these two. Yeah, that's something, the only way I would know. Yes. Someone was here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
محمد حلمي سنة ستة. عايز حضرتك هل حضرتك عايز تدخل بالجامعة هناك؟ هل ممكن نعمل إلكتيف هناك مع الكلية دي؟
Do you speak English? You know why? Because you have to speak English when you go there. Because if you don't speak, they're not going to listen to you. Unless you don't, then I still understand some Arabic. So do you want Arabic or English? So I'll leave you try to speak English.
Okay.
And not necessarily today, but, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Can you have an elective opportunity in your university?
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
He wants to come and train at your university. He's asking if that would be feasible to organize a program between here and the faculty and your university for training.
Actually, we raised
as
that
a student,
issue.
for instance.
We raised that issue yesterday
with the dean,
with the Professor Nag, and we talked to the dean, and we're going to try to see whether we could do some sponsorship from people who are going to be doing vascular or general surgery or something, if they come for observations. Observation means month and 2 and 3, and if you do, people get to know you, so when you apply, we know you, so get to have a better chance. But can we put it in other places? I think that's something I need to work with other entities outside my place. Yes.
For medical students and internship, can we have an elective, not an internship? Can we have this opportunity or not?
Yes, we're trying to negotiate that. بس ده محتاج ترتيب مع الكلية. لسه الحديث.
I'll come. Okay, go ahead, sir.
My name is Yusuf Dad, 6th-year student. As you mentioned, the residency application has become more competitive in recent years. So I'm asking whether you look for a tailored CV to your program, like research in vascular surgery or electives in vascular surgery, or do you look at the CV in general, like research publications in any other specialties or electives in any other specialties, any letters of recommendation?
You mean when you come before residency?
No, I mean when you're looking for applicants in the match.
والله هو بيسأل سؤال، هو بيسأل ازاي انا لو بس العربي عشان برضه هم يعني هو احنا عايزين نعرف الماتشنج ده مبني على ايه بالظبط؟ وليه الامريكان ليه جود شانس عن الامريكان اذا كان في امتحان وديجريز وكده وايه في كانتري؟ ده سؤال. هو بيسأل لما حضرتك بتيفالويت قبل كانت جاي لك ثرو ماتشنج بروجرام انتوا بتبصوا على ايه بالظبط والبرايورتي بتيجي منين للكانديديت؟
That's your point. If you ask me personally for internationally graduate, the score is probably the biggest any one of us look at. And two, who recommending you to come to this program? And that comes not only recommending you from Egypt, if he knows Dr. XYZ, But if you came to America, where did your observation? We even have professors who call you, this guy, Egyptian, Syrians, Lebanese, spent 2-3 months with us, and he's impressively smart, hard worker, so on and so. That means a lot to me, as much as the score itself. Yes. Would this answer your question? Okay, absolutely. But I'm telling you, if you know someone, it's absolutely helpful. But again, if your score is so terrible, it will be just difficult because it's not dictatorship. In other words, I have the veto power for my program, but I have a committee of 6 people, and you don't want to embarrass in front of them. I want this, and you look to their score and it looks terrible. They will figure out the way you are really biased. You know me, and it might work this year, but they lose trust in you. Yes.
طب الانترفيو دي ايه الرول بتاعها في بعد السكورينج وبعد
الانترفيو؟ The interview. You get some kids who are so impressive with their score, but are so terrible in answering the question. So you need to have some skills when you answer the questions to be clear and to be reasonable. So interview, yes. I have seen kids, make an example. We just interview our first group. We have 3 classes to interview, 10, 10, 10. Second one actually 4 days after I leave from here. Okay? 260 and 270 score. And for people who have not taken the exam, is this very high scores. The highest is the 270s in this exam. Okay? Impressive. Recommendation, I don't know these people. It was not really clear. The kid came for an interview. 5 out of the people who interviewed this kid, by the time even he come to see you, because I see them at the end, I have 4 out of 5 come and said, I hope you don't even rank this kid. Rank me, even give him number 30. Don't rank him. He said he's so arrogant. He thinks he knows everything. You know what I mean? That doesn't come across as good. Or on the other side, this guy has no personality. I don't know how to deal with the patient. So this guy on the other extreme. So interview, thank you for reminding me, that's extremely important item. And what happens so many times, because of that interview, if the letter did not come from him, the interview will come to me, is the one which is going to separate you from the kid who had somewhat close score or even maybe a little bit better than you. But your interview was much, much better. Yes. Any question from the upper hill? From upper hills, we call it in West Virginia, the hills and the mountains up there. Okay, nobody wants any question.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm a house officer. I have a question about accreditation. Of course, you know, after 2024, some medical school will not be accredited anymore, okay? That's why I want to know if I become ECTMG certified and I apply and my medical school becomes not accredited, how this will affect my RAS application or maybe getting a fellowship?
I'd be shocked if that happened to you at EY. Before they get you to take exam 1 and 2, your medical school has to be accredited.
Okay.
And if they approve you, let us say this year, 2 years from now, your medical school is not accredited. You already have an American exam called ECFMG certificate, means you pass part 1 and part 2. I'm sorry?
Okay, but they are saying that the program director will see that I'm not accredited anymore. My medical school, not accredited anymore. How will we see that? Maybe we filter from the start or not?
As I told you, I'll be shocked if they can do that to you legally, because you took exam 1, exam 2, and the ECFMG felt your medical school is accredited when you took the exam. It doesn't make sense if 10 years later your dean became SOB and the whole school became screwed up. No, I don't think it will work that way. No, I think you'll be fine. Yes.
طب دكتور علي بالامانه كده ليه في بريفرنس للامريكان ولا هو بالرانك واليونيفرسيتي؟ يعني مثلا انت حضرتك جاي لك ابليكانتس منهم يو اس جراديويتس وفي انترناشونال، هل في كوتا او يعني برسنتج للي كامينج فروم ابرود وبرسنتج الامريكان باي ذيم سيلف ولا هي بيور كومبيتيشن؟
I hope that answered the question. Because that's still fresh in my mind. I looked to the applicant a month ago. have 122 applicants, and you multiply, that's too much. Most of you apply to all programs. So don't, because every program have 80, 100, 100, but that's the highest number I ever had. Out of these were 31 international graduates, and for my surprise, there is none from an Egyptian medical school. But there is 4 from the American University of Beirut, 2 from Damascus University, and 3-4 from Europe. So that's the bunch I have. But because I'm somewhat little bit biased towards IMGs, because I was one of them, so I told my coordinator, send interview to these, and 21 of them were American graduate, and 9 were internationally graduate. For your knowledge, 3 of them were American citizens, but they went to an American medical school outside America. So still, they will be treated as an IMG. Yes. I don't know why. Usually I get 1 or 2 from an Egyptian medical school. I don't know that I ever got anybody from Alexandria. I got a couple from Cairo. I don't know whether Alexandria. I just remember, I have an Irish woman that her husband boyfriend is from Alexandria University, and I was biased. I gave him an interview because he came, her boyfriend from Alexandria. I'm not joking. Yes. But she's an Irish woman. Yes.
Okay, I have another question.
Now keep in mind, after certain hours, Dr. Wiley will start charging you some dollars.
We have a lot of time.
I have another question regarding IMGs.
يا عم وزع
Ahmed Nasr, House Officer. I would like to ask about, again, the same thing, the AMG versus the IMG. You said that you maybe send them interviews, but at the end of the day, do they get matched against the AMGs?
That's an no, I'm glad you said that. You probably maybe did not, maybe I talked too much on this. In vascular, let me give you, I don't know about other programs.
I mean, more IMG than discussion.
Yeah, what I'm trying to tell you, in vascular surgery, it's a relatively new specialty in America. Fellowship-wise, started 30, 35 years ago. Residency started just 15, 16 years ago. In United States, vascular residency, generally speaking, 80 to 90% of the positions are filled by American graduate. 10, 15% IMG, okay? However, if you go to other specialties, for example, in my place, in internal medicine, I promise you, half are foreign medical graduate. I have 5, 6 Syrians. I even joke about it. I need to have United Nations here. So there are a lot of people go into other specialties because they're not as demanding. General surgery, I think probably around 20% are IMGs. I'm talking about in the last several years. But 50 years ago, half the people who were in surgery were internationally graduate like myself. But nowadays, it will be more difficult. But is it doable? The answer, yes. And also, to be honest with you, if you leave today from Alexandria, and even if you are top of your class, okay, if you have 0 observation in America, and there's hardly nobody recommending you from there who know you, your chances are so zilch. I'm just trying to tell you, so little. Now, could you match internal medicine or family practice? Maybe a few percent. So you have to do something little extra, specifically observation. You know what I mean, doctor? 2-3 months here, or do 6-month research with Dr. X Loan. You need to pick someone that when they write the letter, these people know who are. And don't ask them for a letter if you're applying for family practice. I don't know anybody, but I know a lot of people from the surgery in general, and of course vascular, cardiovascular. So you need to look to the people what specialty you're looking at. Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Professor Dr.Ali, for this nice and kind presentation. I'm Ahmed Sabri, the Director of Alexandria House Officer Training Program. And the people are my son and daughters, and I'd like to give him advice about 2 things. How to prepare himself from here, from the start, during the training program in Alexandria House Officer year, how to train and to prepare himself to go abroad, especially USA. Number 1. Number 2, what is the main obstacle for traveling to USA? What the main obstacle? Is it finance, communication skills, scientific? What is the main obstacle maybe confronted if they travel to USA? And we would like to express my thank you for nice presentation and your help for our dear friends. Thank you.
There's no doubt in my mind, internship in your university is one of the most useful, because I did it here. So take it seriously and don't take it as a joke, because when you come there and you already know how to put central line, you already know how to suture, you already know, it makes a huge difference. Now, what is the second question?
طب هو بس لو حضرتك تقول لهم بالعربي تاني الحته دي عشان مهمه والله بتاعت الانترنشيب. الانترنشيب النصيحه. النصيحه دي بالعربي بس نعيدها مره ثانيه للذكرى. اهميه الطبيب فتره الامتياز.
مهم. اسف اذا عربيتي شويه.
لا حلوه.
مهم جدا جدا انه حضرتك البنات والولاد على الناحيه الشمال ده انه تاخذ الهاوس اوفيسر جوب سيريسلي. ايش بالعربي سيريسلي؟ يا مهم جدا جدا، لانه صور لما تيجي على امريكا and تعرف already to put central line, to start IVs, to suture, particularly خاصه اذا راح surgery. It's extremely important. مهم جدا جدا جدا. And your hands, yes.
لا ممتاز. ايوه.
The second question is the obstacles for travel.
The finance يعني if they come for observership the finance.
That's a good point. ممكن I don't know about their status financially. There are always agency بالعربي. Always agencies who can, probably people who cannot afford it, you will get some money through whether United Nations, I don't know about Alexandria funds, or where they will help you in getting the ticket to come to America. And you might not start the first week or 2 or 3. I promise you, there are always jobs. I have seen people for 6 months or 1 year, they do some work. They make decent money to be able to live, and once you become a resident, this is a great paying job for your knowledge. A first-year resident in my institution get paid $70,000 annual salary, and they also give them food, and many of them give them housing. المشكلة إنك to get supported لحتى ما تبدأ residency. Absolutely, yes.
That financial support is
If I do my residency in my home country, and then if I do my residency in my home country and then apply for fellowship in your university, what is the requirement as the next steps? And can taking fellowship increase my chance in residency after?
You said you applied for residency in this country?
Yes.
Okay.
After that, I applied
for the United States. Yeah. That will be extremely helpful, absolutely, because you're going to remember in the application I said in the review had a special statement related to you. Would you imagine you put there, and I work as surgical residence in Egypt, say for Alexandria, with a house officer or نايب يسمونها او نايب لسنتين وثلاثة وأربعة. That's give you great chance because they know you have the expertise to come and start from the first day. Absolutely. And incidentally, for the first time, the American Board of Surgery is allowing now some year 2 up to 3 of foreign training to be added to the 5-year training for general surgery. They just added that exemption year ago. When? 2 more than 3 years. Yes. Yes, sir.
So, was looking at so you mentioned the importance of observerships a lot. Like most universities and academic programs offer observerships.
And they offer hands-on electives. When reviewing applicants, do you take that into consideration when one applicant did an observationship and another applicant did an actual hands-on elective where they actually were able to interact with the patients? Or is that just reflected in the letters of reference?
That's a good point. Observation to get to know how the American medicine is practiced. because I promise you, is different than what you practice and learn here. There's no doubt. Okay? Two, to get to know the physician or the professor that you work with for observation. So he will be a great resource to write recommendation letter for you. But if you do elective, that's even make it much more impressive. Why? You know the professor, and elective, you did real work, not you observed and just watching what they are doing, and they get to know you. So I personally believe I'll give a little bit more weight for electives. Absolutely. Because I need to remind you, observation means you cannot have your hands on. Why? Legalities in the United States is terrible. They don't want to be messing up and doing something, even under my looking at you, then that's a legal issue. That's observation. You're not doing anything. Therefore, most of people give you observation. But to have actual elective is somewhat a little more restrictive, and you have to know people. We do some elective, sometimes the university, I don't give elective to any foreign medical graduate, or even because of COVID-19, they don't have elective to any American graduate, because they don't want anybody to come to the hospital. So it depends. Yes.
اسأل يا حبيبي.
يا عم اقف يا عم اتكلم. انت واقف هنا الميكروفون ايه اللي بتدور عليه؟ ده انا وانا قدك كنت لحد الظهريه.
What I have to do in my residency years to be eligible for fellowship in your university other than doing the steps.
I still didn't understand.
What I have to do.
أنت سنة أولى ولا سنة ثانية ولا intern?
6 years. At the end of my 6th year and
medical students.
At the end of my 6th year.
You know I love Egyptian. I care for you. Get your English better, because if you make an interview this way, I'm afraid they don't know how smart you are. They think how you're going to communicate with many people. So I'd love for you if you just maybe listen to tapes or something or video, whatever. Because forgive me, unless I'm getting deaf. Yes. قلت لك يا باشا احنا كبرنا في العمر ما تصدقنيش. Yeah, come closer to me. It's okay. I don't have the gun. Come on.
What I have to do in my residency years to be eligible for fellowship program at your university, other than doing the steps, step 1 to 3.
In my university, you have to have.
How does he prepare himself for a residency in the United States during his stay in Egypt?
Yeah.
Before coming to home to the States? That's what he's asking.
You to observe or do elective?
For a fellowship.
Yeah, to do a fellowship. First of all, there are very few fellowships in America where they will count your residency and you are allowed to come for fellowship, including my place. You cannot do vascular fellowship with me. Formal fellowship. There is a formal meaning. You will get to take the board in vascular surgery, for example, or the board in colorectal surgery. They don't do that in my place and many places unless your training was in America. However, Cleveland Clinic, which is top name in America, they give fellowship to people, whether anything you want to, even if your residency was somewhere outside. Some of them, I don't know whether they still do it or not, but they probably do. There are many places they can do, but the majority don't. So, to answer your question, I cannot give you, unless you want to come and work with me for 6 months to 1 year, but I cannot give you what required for you to take the board in that specialty. It has to be trained in America.
I ask about non-accredited fellowship.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can.
Can I have it?
Yes.
What are the requirements other than steps course?
Steps 1 and 2, as you know, because it will give you the ACMG certificate, as you know, so you could get in. But there are no other requirement if you do fellowship in non-accredited program. You get that year of experience under Dr. X or YZ, but you cannot get a certificate. So if certificate doesn't bother you, that's not a big deal.
Non-accredited fellowship increase my chances in doing a residency in the US or not?
Oh, absolutely. Son, you did 1 year fellowship, let us say, in a Cleveland Clinic or Arizona Heart Institute, and now you're going to apply for residency or fellowship. It's still residency, of course, which means you're going to start from scratch, except they might give you a year or 2 of exemptions. Now, to get fellowship accredited, the answer yes in the places who accept you without being into formal fellowship before. Your chances are better. Yes. But you better check with them to make sure you don't go there and then you cannot get into accredited fellowship. You need to check with the institution you are interested in. Yes.
Or I will be an old graduate.
Whatever.
He's asking, can he start مثلا fellowship at the age of, residency at the age of 30, 31?
Yes.
America's full.
No, that's an excellent point. Quite many people frown on you if you are really relatively old because you think fellowship and residency, particularly in non-medical specialty, surgical, vascular, cardiovascular, they are demanding. So they always think, can this guy take the heat and the hard work of doing vascular residency or fellowship? But many programs don't. I have people I interviewed 39 years old. He went to medical school at the age of 32. He was a nurse. He did not like it. Shifted to medical school, and he got interviewed. And I think he was one of the top candidates I had. So the answer, I'm not sure, but not everybody look at it favorably.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. I think maybe I was not through with you when I said get something in English. I think when you came closer, I was able to understand you better. Yes. Anybody?
عنده أسئلة؟ فرصة ذهبية. طيب. Thank you.
Thank you.